Hello, welcome to the demo of CICD Automation Accelerator. The accelerator comes loaded with advanced features which I will shortly be taking you through. It all begins with setting up environments through provided custom connector. It is important that the environments are set up with utmost care, considering the type and the levels for the environment, as levels govern the hierarchy of the code movement. For the demo, we have three environments: dev, test, and prod, which is set at the third level. To access the features of the accelerator, all we need is one command: Workato CICD execute. We start by defining project configuration, as every platform project needs a project configuration. For the demo, we use this project to deploy in test and further promote it to prod. There is a project configuration that is saved for the selected project. Let me take you through the same. The very first screen has information about the deployment mode and the environment. As we scroll down, we can see more optional attributes which are used with the tools that are integrated with CI/CD Accelerator. The second screen is where we actually select the project. One can select up to 5 dependencies when defining a project configuration. This means when the selected project configuration is being deployed to any environment, all the dependencies tagged to the project configuration are resolved prior to deploying the main project configuration. As the deployment mode is of type environments, there is no explicit target configuration required. Now that we have the project configuration ready, we need the pipeline configuration from dev to test and from test to prod. For the demo, both configurations are already created. Let me take you through the same. The very first stage, which is trigger, gives us the basic and important info, which is the deployment mode and the source environment. The next stage, which is build, allows user to select if AQS check is needed to be able to scan a project configuration through AQS Accelerator. One can even select the build configuration as build package, in which case package will just be built, or it can be exported by selecting build and export package to be further deployed in other environments. While we select the list of dependencies in project configuration, the way how they have to be handled is selected in pipeline configuration. The last stage, which is deploy, has information about approval channel, as this is optional. If any channel is selected, then approval process is triggered, else there will not be any approval process for the selected pipeline configuration. One can even select the target environment. The drop-down of target environment is populated based on the environment configuration through custom connector. One can also select the post-deployment steps to start the recipes upon deployment and to migrate the properties. We'll shortly see how the property migration happens, but it is important to note that only independent recipes can be started. For example, if a recipe has a dependency on a connection that is not yet connected or activated, such a recipe cannot be started. Let's go ahead and deploy the selected project configuration through dev to test pipeline configuration. We can see two execution modes. When we are deploying a project configuration directly from dev to test, we select direct as execution mode. We select the project configuration and the package version. In the event where a Jira integration is set up, user will be asked to select a release from Jira. It is also possible to auto-create a release in Jira and tag it to the pipeline execution, or one can select any existing release. The pipeline execution has been created successfully. One can track the execution by selecting the button Track Execution. the pipeline status is currently running. The status of the pipeline is PR in progress. In the event of GitHub integration, the code is automatically pushed to GitHub and a PR is automatically created. The PR reviewer is also notified through MS Teams. One can review the changes in the files, approve, and eventually merge the PR. As soon as the PR is merged, the flow of pipeline execution resumes. And when we track the status of the pipeline is now successful. The code has been moved from dev to test. This also creates a release in Jira with the latest tag. Now that the code is in test, let's look at how to promote it. For promotion, we need a pipeline configuration from test to prod as a prerequisite, and we will be using the same pipeline, test to prod, to promote our code. Let me show you the pipeline configuration for test to prod. Test to prod has an approval channel configured. Hence, an approval thread will be invoked when we promote our code through this pipeline configuration. To promote a project configuration, we will select the same dev to test pipeline configuration and click on execute. This time, we select promote as execution mode. We'll select the project configuration. Under the promote configuration, one has to select a pipeline configuration in order to promote it to higher environments. Since the deployment mode is of type environments, there is no explicit target configuration required. The pipeline execution is created successfully. The pipeline which is triggered is not dev to test, rather it is test to prod as we promoted it, and the status is approval requested. This is how an approval thread would look like. Please note that in the event of AQS accelerator integration, the approver can retrieve the results from an AQS if the score of AQS is not 100% and then make an appropriate decision with regards to approval request. As soon as I approve the request, the flow of the pipeline resumes. Upon waiting for a few seconds, the status is now successful. The package version we just deployed will match with the one that has been automatically released in Jira. Let me take you through other features of the accelerator now. One can list all pipeline executions or just open pipeline executions. One can even search with the pipeline execution reference. The property migration feature allows one to set properties for the combination of target environment and the project configuration. This means when CI/CD Automation v3 test suite is deployed in target environment test, we can automatically migrate a set of properties. One can also list environment-specific deployments. Through Recipe Management tool, one can select any environment and then the project to either start, stop, or delete all recipes within the project folder. Through Deploy Release, one can select the project and the target environment to deploy a stable production release. At this point, we can also select post-deployment steps. Through User Management, one can create permissions and assign them to roles and eventually assign the roles to users. Please note that the accelerator comes with two predefined roles, admin and DevOps, which cannot be modified. To analyze permissions tagged to a user, one can use Permission Analyzer feature, where a user has to be selected along with multiple permissions to verify if the permissions are assigned to the selected user. As a last feature to demo, when a project configuration is deployed in a production environment through normal deployment cycles, then a release note is automatically posted in the channel that is configured in the project configuration. This concludes the demo. Thank you for watching.